Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 18.2 Beta 1. iOS 18.2 Beta 1 is available to developers, and iOS 18.2 Public Beta 1 could be out by the time you're watching this video, or possibly after the public release of iOS 18.1 next week. Now this came in at a very large 7.36 gigabytes on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Anytime you go from a public version to a beta or from a beta back to a public version, it's going to fully reinstall the whole OS. So it's a very large install. This is supported on the iPhone 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max, and iPhone 16 models so far. They're not making this current beta available to older devices just yet, maybe a little bit later like they did with iOS 18.1 when it started in beta. It's also available to iPads with M1 and later and Macs with M1 and later. Along with this, Apple also released iPadOS 18.2 Beta 1 and macOS 15.2 Sequoia Beta 1. Now this update actually is available to more countries or languages, it looks like here, as we now have English US, English UK, and others, and it also says it's not available in the EU or China just yet. So let me know if it's working for you if you're on the beta. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go to Settings, then General, then About. As you can see, the build number is 22C5109P. This is a very early build, and you'll see here that we've got some new features and updates. Now, this update does have a new modem update coming from iOS 18.1's public release, or RC, to this beta. And as far as new features, well, the first thing you'll notice right away is we have Image Playground. If we go into this, the first time you open this, you get a bunch of splash screens, but basically it says describe an image or add a suggestion from the list. So if I add myself, maybe we'll add a beret at the park as an artist and let it just create. So we'll give it just a moment and it will create this right away, or we can delete some of these or swipe through different options it gives. Give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, and then we have options to share or save the image or copy. So it gives a few different options. We can go back and cancel. Here's a few I made, a sports car I described. If we go back, here's another picture, and then we can just create more. So maybe me as a superhero with a bow tie, and we'll see what it comes up with. So we'll give it a moment, and there we go. So we can swipe through, and it looks a little odd, but it does create these pretty quickly, and we could add a top hat. There we go. It adds more things, and you can continue to describe the image. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, but again, you can describe just about anything you want. So we could put this on the beach, and then it will add that and add it to your image. So there we go. Give it a moment to finish creating, and then it's created me on the beach. So that's something that's new in this update. We also have the option to show more, of course, and there's a lot of different themes and costumes and accessories and places. I did try describing different cars, for example, a 911. So Porsche 911 on the road, and it doesn't seem to like things that are actually real. So unable to use that description. So you have to create something that seems to be either related to you or not real. Now, if we swipe home and go into our messages, within messages, we can go to the plus button here on the left, and we have an option for Image Playground. So we can bring in things we've already created, or maybe some suggestions we make here. So again, myself, maybe on a stage. We'll give it just a moment to complete, and maybe give myself a baseball cap as well. Again, wait for it to complete. It takes a moment. We'll tap done. That's it. And now it's placed it in the actual message itself, and then I can send it. In addition to this, if we go to our emoji, we can now describe an emoji. So we now have Genmoji. So maybe smiley face upside down. Create new emoji. And not a person. I wanted a smiley face. So you can choose a person, but let's try that again. Smiley face upside down. Let's see if it creates it. And there we go. So it gives us an option. We've got a couple different ones, and it keeps creating basically the same thing, but we can add this or any emoji we want. So we'll replace the item here, and you'll see the new emoji. So I said a hamburger on a grill, and it created the emoji for me. So we've got a few different options. And again, we can add this and then it replaces it. So you can really come up with whatever you'd like, and it works now with Genmoji. We also now have ChatGPT integration. So for example, we first have a few options. So if we go into settings, and when we first go to set this up and go to Apple Intelligence, you will actually have to request access to Genmoji and Image Playground. And if we scroll down in our options, you'll see ChatGPT. If we go into this, we can enable it, we can completely disable it if we don't want it, and we can have it confirm ChatGPT requests. It says if ChatGPT can help with a request, Siri will ask permission before sending any information. It also has the app here that's installed on my device, and you can sign into your account. You don't have to, but you can. Now, once you have ChatGPT enabled, you can just use Siri to activate that, or type to Siri if you want to use that, and maybe ask it for a recipe, or maybe you want to learn how to change the oil in your car. You can do whatever you'd like and use ChatGPT for it. Use ChatGPT and show me a recipe on how to create macaroni and cheese. Now it says working. That's sort of a new graphic. And there we go. Sure, here's a simple recipe, and then you can scroll down, and at the bottom it says ChatGPT, mistakes can occur, verify details. So you actually have that fully integrated directly into Siri if you want to use that. How do I change my oil on a Saab 9.3 from 2004? Now it actually says locate the oil filter. We'll tap on it, and that's it. So it gave me a general idea, but you can do more with this. Again, you can ask ChatGPT more information as well. We also now have visual intelligence. Now, when I started the phone, it actually turned on, and you can use this. So we'll try it out. We'll go into visual intelligence. We'll open up the camera, and you'll see now we have a new option here. So now that I open up the camera, pressing and holding the button, so if I press it once, it opens the camera. If I press and hold the camera capture, you'll see here that it goes right into this visual intelligence option. If I bring in this camera, this is a Sony a7R5. We'll go ahead and take a photo of it. We'll see what it identifies. Give it just a moment here so it's sort of working, and let's see what it finds. Then we can ask, of course. It says when you tap, iPhone captures what's in view and sends the image to ChatGPT for more information. We don't have to do that. We'll say not now, but we'll give it some more time. And we can also go in here and report a concern or search and ask. So let's go ahead and search. Searching with Google, it says right there, and now it actually shows it. It actually recognizes, well, it recognizes the lens here at the top and then the camera. So it looks like it got it. Let's see if it recognizes the camera itself. So it looks similar. A lot of Sony cameras look the same, but it gives you an idea of what it's finding. So this is actually a 50 f1.4 lens. So it sort of gets it right. It thought it was an f1.2, but it gives you the idea of what it is. Again, we can ask ChatGPT, so let's tap continue using visual intelligence and see what it says. And it's not doing anything. There we go. It says working. And now it says the Sony Alpha 7R5 is highly advanced digital camera, and it actually recognized what it was. So again, just press and hold. Let's see if it can determine that this is an iPhone 15 Pro Max since it's the blue version. See what we've got here. See if it recognizes it. There we go. And let's see. We'll go ahead and search. Searching with Google, and it recognizes it. So 15 Pro Max, it thinks it's a 256, but it found it on eBay. You'll see more information here. So it's great. It recognizes it. It does what we expect. And I expect this to get better as well. We have an option here to go to the left here to follow up with ChatGPT and use that. And then we could select a photo as well just by tapping that button. So there's a couple different options that are redundant here, but it's nice that it actually works. Something else included with Apple Intelligence in this version is called Image Wand. If we go into Notes, you'll see we have a wand here. Now first, let me draw maybe a house. Just real basic, pretty terrible design. We'll just put one window here. And you'll see it's very simple. If we go into Image Wand, we can circle it. It gives us that sort of Siri look. And it says start with a phrase or what best describes the image. We'll just type in here, a house. There you'll see it says house. It uses my image and then sort of creates one. So just like Image Playground does, it creates a house that's very simple, just like that. So maybe you want to use this for a presentation. You can. Now you've got this image. You can resize it or do whatever you'd like with it. You have additional options here. You can duplicate it, go back in, maybe change something up and say 2 Windows. We'll try that. And it will create it for me. There we go. Now it's a different house that looks a little different. So you can play around with this, create whatever you'd like, and put it in a presentation or maybe even a YouTube video if you needed maybe an illustration of something and you needed to use it. Of course, some of those rights need to be sorted out. Now, if we go into notes on the iPhone, and you'll see I'm on the iPadOS 18.1 RC notes from Apple, we'll go to Apple Intelligence and we have a couple new options. We can now describe a change instead of just rewriting this in friendly or professional. Let's rewrite this with make this friendly and professional. And it takes a moment. It's going to rewrite it. It will analyze it and rewrite it to make it a little bit more friendly. And there we go. It says, get ready for an exciting iPadOS 18.1 RC update. And then it's got more information. Of course, we can revert the change if we'd like. You'll see some visual glitches there. And this also has a new option here. There's a couple different buttons here as well, where we can rewrite or go back in. But we also have an option if we scroll below to compose. If we go to compose, we can then use ChatGPT to sort of write something. So for example, it says invitation to a birthday party at my house this Saturday evening, or character names for a historical novel set in the ancient Rome or in ancient Rome. So we've got some text selected here. We can use all the words or just selected text. That's fine. Using this information, write a summary of features coming in iPadOS 18.1. Then we'll go ahead and send. It's composing, reading everything. And there we go. So it's Siri has a new look, Photos has enhanced search. We can rewrite it, include details on security updates, add information about device compatibility, or expand on writing features. So we can add information to this, and it will use this information to continue to actually make these notes. This could be very helpful for myself and many others. So that's available. It is a little bit buggy. It jumps around a little bit, but it's a first beta, and I think it works great for that. Something else people will be very excited for is the Mail app has been redesigned. If we go into the Mail app, we now have a primary inbox. Now I'm in an inbox that doesn't really have a lot of information, but it says Mail categories. Find the messages that matter most in primary and organize everything else. We also have the option for receipts or transactions. We have one for updates. So it says news, subscriptions, and social. And we also have one for special offers, deals, and more. So it categorizes them automatically. We also have little icons here that will be updated by businesses later on. And we can go back to primary and just have all of our primary information. In the upper right, we can go to a list view or categories and show priority. So if we want a list view, we can have it, or we can use the category. So we don't have to use this option. You'll see here, and then we can go back to the new version here if we want it. We don't really know if this is part of Apple Intelligence or something they're going to be adding to all phones later on, but we'll have to wait and see with that. We also have an update with the Control Center. We have a new icon for Type to Siri. So you can add that, tap on it, and then go right to Type to Siri. So if you want to maybe add that to your option here with the action button, you should be able to do that. Or you can just go right in and type to Siri. So that's something they've added in the Control Center. We also have a couple new options under accessibility. So if we go into our settings, then accessibility, then we go down to where it says audio and visual. We have a new option here to always show volume control. Show volume controls on the lock screen for headphones and built-in speakers. So if you want that, enable it. And then at the bottom, we have a new option for add audio in calls. It says any audio from apps along with microphone input will be audible during a call. Muting the microphone will silence all audio. This may be used by apps that help assist with speaking and communication. So if you go into this, you can enable it if you want or leave it disabled. Another thing that's working in the USA for now is you can now set default apps, delete many different apps, although I'm not able to delete them all. You can remove specific apps completely from your device and add third-party app stores with sideloading. So for example, the Alt Store, if you go to the Alt Store, go to maybe download Alt Store Pal, you can download, and then you can actually install this on your device. Now you have to allow it, and you'll see that I have it here. So it's installing. It doesn't seem to work properly for me just yet, but it is there. And if I tap on it, it seems to reinstall. So I don't know if this is a mistake or it's coming later on, but also if we go to our settings, then go down to apps. So if we go all the way to apps here at the bottom, within apps, you'll see default apps at the top. We now have the option for mail, messaging, calling, call filtering, browser app, passwords and codes, and keyboards. So we can just go in and change it there. Just like the EU has had, now we have it in the US. So I'm not sure if this is coming soon or again, this was a mistake. Another option that's been updated, if we go into settings and then we go down to where it says sound and haptics, scroll to the bottom, we now have volume limit for built-in speaker. We can now limit the volume and you'll see maximum volume 60% all the way to 90%. So if you want to enable that, you can limit the volume on your speaker on your iPhone. One other thing that's available in a specific state, if you have Apple Wallet, this is not just on this beta, but on others as well. If we go to Wallet, within the Wallet, if we go to driver's license and state ID, Iowa is now available. So if you live in Iowa, you can now use digital IDs on your iPhone. So Iowa driver's license, if you have that, you can now add it. Again, this is not with the beta. It's available on all iPhones right now. Now, as far as issues that I'm experiencing, well, if I go into messages and go to the emoji keyboard, you'll see I still have blanks. This is for stickers, and you can turn off stickers in your messages and this cleans up, but it's something that I would like to have here if I have recent stickers. So for whatever reason, some people are seeing this, not everyone is, but you can see all the emoji here. But if you go to this little icon for recents, it's showing blanks in between, at least for me and some other people as well. So far, I haven't noticed any other bugs, but it will take a few days to know that. And hopefully it fixes all the additional issues we've been having with iOS 18. So far, it seems to be pretty good, but again, some of the Apple Intelligence features are a little bit buggy. As far as releases, I would expect iOS 18.1 to release to the public probably this coming Monday on the 28th. This will include the hearing aid option for AirPods Pro 2, and then we'll move on to iOS 18.2 betas. I would not expect iOS 18.2 Beta 2 this coming week, maybe the following week, the second week of November. We don't really know for sure as Apple doesn't tell us, but that's what I would expect anyway. When it comes to the overall performance and smoothness, so far it seems to be performing fine. I haven't noticed any difference there, whether that's scrolling in the app library. That was a little stuttery, but in general, I haven't really noticed any difference from the previous versions. Occasionally you'll get a stutter here and there, but in general, it's pretty smooth and apps are seemingly working fine. I'm not having the phone heat up at all. It is a little bit warm as we just installed a major update. And as far as storage goes, let's take a quick look at that and then we'll look at battery. If we go to General and then iPhone Storage, give it a second to load here, scroll to the bottom, you'll see the iOS update is using 15.03 gigabytes. Apple Intelligence is taking up 3 gigabytes. So it is a large install. And then as far as system data, this goes up and down as needed. So I have a ton of storage available. It will go up and down as cache data. You'll see it says system data include caches, logs, and other resources currently in use by the system. This value will fluctuate according to system needs. So I'm glad it says that, and it will go up and down. There's no need to worry about it. Just let it manage itself. As far as battery life, if we take a look at battery health, I have 28 cycles with 100%. And if we take a look at the last 10 days, well, today I had 2 hours and 39 minutes of screen active time, 2 hours and 18 minutes of screen idle time. I'm currently down to 58%. So it's doing okay, especially after installing this update. And I am getting through the day, but I'm not getting phenomenal battery life. So hopefully it changes over the next few days, and we'll talk about that in the weekend follow-up. Now, if you're wondering if you should install iOS 18.2 Beta 1, I would say absolutely not at this point unless you have a different device that you don't use as your main device. Maybe if you have an M1 or later iPad or an older phone, a 15 Pro that you kept around after upgrading to a 16 Pro or Pro Max or 16, then I would try it out. However, I typically wouldn't recommend trying it as it's going to be a little bit buggy, and typically Apple Intelligence, at least on the early betas, had a very big impact basically on your battery life. So I would probably hold off on that. Otherwise, though, it seems to be decent. As far as the benchmarks go, let's take a look at those. I did run those briefly. We'll give it a moment here. And you'll see from today, CPU history, I had 3,454 for single core, 8,294 for multi-core. Now, right after installing this, that was down a little bit, but again, it's to be expected. It's up a little bit as far as the single core, down a little bit as far as the multi-core. So again, it seems to be performing okay. So that's pretty much everything so far with iOS 18.2 Beta 1. If you found any additional features or changes, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And again, we'll talk about that on the weekend if there's other features and things that we've noticed. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.